Good morning, well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show for the 23rd of June, 2015. How are you? Are you doing good? Because, hey, I want to know. I'm kind of curious now. I want to know how you're all doing. The thing is, what I want to talk about today is in the news. It was there yesterday. And let's go to American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. There's something going on there. Go to American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. Check things out there. I'll be talking about some things there as well. But I wanted to open up the podcast with this. There are a lot of people who seem to bash anything that is truthful, honest, straightforward, and factual. Now, that's a general statement and nothing specific. But I gotta say, when people start bashing folks like Alex Jones or Glenn Beck or Pete Santilli or any number of people, my question is this. Do they have proof? Is there proof there? I mean, can these people who are bashing these folks, even me, have proof that you're actually right? Do these naysayers, these I'm going to call them out, these far-left liberal Marxists who think that America doesn't need to be in the hands of the people, that the First and Second Amendment, all the Bill of Rights should be abolished. These folks who don't want to know the truth, don't want to know the facts, don't even want to have their Marxist, communist, fascist little paradigm of a deluded world shattered with the facts, these people are what I'm talking about. And there's plenty of them out there. So why did these people not bring the, proof to the table about what Alex Jones is talking about, what Glenn Beck's talking about, what Pete Santilli's talking about, what I'm talking about, what Nick Tucker is talking about, what a whole bunch of other people are talking about? Why don't they bring it to the table? I know why, and I'll tell you straight up. Because these folks are a bunch of freaking cowards and losers. All of them. They have absolutely no backbone, no guts, and they absolutely do not have the facts to back up anything they say. So I'm calling them all out right now. You're on notice. You got two choices. You can either bring the proof to the table of debate and we'll talk about it, or you can shut your damn pie hole. That's all there is to it. Now, I know that some of you are going to say this is America and they have a freedom of speech, or they're going to get up all, pissy and butthurt and say, I have a freedom of speech and I'm going to express myself and that's just the way it is. Well, you better bring the truth to the table. You better bring the facts to the table, because if you don't, guess what? I'm going to shoot holes in every single theory that you have. So there you go. I'll be back. Don't go away. Take a little break. AmericanLibertyRadio.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. That's the website and email, respectively. So there you go. I'll be back. Go to American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. I shall return. Are you a voice actor? Would you like to perform on radio plays? Send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater. Scripts are available. Send your information to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. The only choice for all your independent hits on the internet. Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Go to RadioRockTheBlitz.blogspot.com. Sharing the truth one fact at a time, without all the BS. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Hey folks, how you doing? This is the American Liberty Radio Network. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. And go to American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. That's where I'm going to be sharing some of these stories. From GOVT, short for government, GOVT slaves.info. U.S. government uses fake companies to spy on the public. Well, isn't that lovely? Thomas Jefferson said, to compel a man to furnish funds for the propagation of ideas he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. And that is true. Why would you want to do that anyway? From Breitbart.com, exclusive Ted Cruz, Obama trade enmeshed in corrupt backroom dealing. Now, if you go back in history, you'll understand that in 1913, backdoor deals with President Woodrow Wilson created the Federal Reserve Act and the Internal Revenue Act, which, of course, we now have, and they are both criminal. WeAreChange.org, 17 more shocking 9/11 facts most don't know. From a YouTube video from Guerrilla Media Network, Jade Helm 15 crisis actors briefing for plane crash into chemical plant. Re-uploaded. That was taken down by YouTube, Google, that would be DARPA. Also from YouTube, a link by, well, it's a YouTube video. Media hoaxes exposed. Naomi Wolf reveals how and why fake news stories are created and pushed. Overpassesforamerica.com. Giant sucking sound of jobs going south as NAFTA takes its toll on America. There's a video for that one as well. Also from Government Slaves, GOVT slaves.info. U.S. military admits it carried out secret race-based experiments to test impact of mustard gas on U.S. soldiers. Shall I go on? From Ashley Jones, revealed government mind control program far worse than Jade Helm and eugenics combined. I don't know, folks, and I'm just going to spell it out for you right now. I do not know why a group of people in Washington, D.C. seem to be more important than the citizens of the United States of America who voted them into office. I don't see why we have a central government. Our founding fathers said we shouldn't. And they said we should not have a central banking system. But what do we have now 239 years later? We have both of those. They're both corrupt. They both have their fingers in everybody's pie. They want everything all the time, all control, all power. And they want us as slaves. Now, if you don't believe it, I encourage you, if you haven't already, go to Netflix.com, sign up. It's a great place to watch movies and shows and all of that. But if you want to see the macro or micro or some kind of situation which spells out who's actually in control, go watch one of the most popular shows now, called Orange is the New Black. You will see that the corporations run the prison system. This is why we call it the prison industrial complex, because it is run by corporations. Years ago, it was run by the state and the federal government. Guess what? People were treated a little more humanely. That's why there are certain sheriffs, including Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who will do everything they can to treat their prisoners, their inmates, in such a way to where it still upholds their dignity. Except for, I have to say that Joe Arpaio is going about it just a wee bit differently than I would. I wouldn't dress everybody up in pink jumpsuits or pink underwear. I'd do something a little less embarrassing. But I would also want to encourage you to do this. Do your own research. Do your own research. Just punch into Bing or Google or Yahoo or whatever. Prison industrial complex. Or who owns the prison system? You will see that it's nothing more than a corporation. And here's the thing, and here's my point. The government does not want you to be exceptional or excel in anything that is different than the norm. I'll tell you why. In the prison industrial complex, it is already on record showing that they, of course, make license plates, they make furniture, they make all sorts of stuff. There are even call centers in prison, I think, unless they did away with that. I'm not sure. Customer service representatives, this kind of thing. So when you look at the prison industrial system, when you look at that, that's just a microcosm, if you will, of who actually runs the United States of America. And it's not you and I. It's not you and I. We are totally outside of the decision-making of the United States of America. Oh, well, but we vote. Yeah, really? You think that matters? You think that counts? I really don't think so. But I really understand and have come to understand the fact that the United States of America is not what our founding fathers wanted it to be. And it all changed. It all changed in 1871 with the Act of 1871 and a bunch of other amendments along with that to create this corporation. And Washington, D.C. is nothing but an office complex with a bunch of board of directors who are telling their minions, You go do this. You say this. Here's how the script is written. That's the way it is. And it's basically their way of saying, or I should say, it's their way of showing us that we have no choice in the matter. Okay? None. Zero. Zip. Zilch. Nada. We got nothing. No choice. Nothing. So what does it matter? What would happen if nobody in America voted? I don't care what side of the aisle you're on or if you're independent. Doesn't matter. What would happen right now if the call went out for everyone in the United States to cease voting? Just stop. Don't even back a candidate. Don't even do that. Don't. Don't go to the rallies. Don't go to anything. Don't vote for them. What would happen? It's already on record, and I mentioned it yesterday, that crowds are hired. All it is a political theater, folks. Your votes don't count. Your support for whatever candidate you believe doesn't matter. Nothing matters. So what would happen if all of the people in America did not vote? What would happen? Well, I saw a post on Facebook today. I didn't get the link to the original story, but they said the headline read something to the effect that Obama wanted a third term, and he's running to get it. And I don't think that it's beyond him to sign an executive order repealing the two-term policies. I really don't. If we never voted, he would become the chancellor. He would become a dictator, as he is already, a pseudo-dictator at this point. But if none of us voted, you would also see the system is entirely rigged for the benefit of the corporations that own Washington, D.C. Now, whether or not you like that, whether or not you believe that, well, you need to go out and check this stuff out yourself. Whether or not you like the truth or throwing stuff at your computer screen because of the things I say, you need to understand one very valuable thing in all of this. You're blind intellectually, politically, because you have absolutely no idea what's going on. And you're just going to vote for the lesser of two evils. Wake up there, sleepyhead, because they're both evil. It doesn't matter. So anyway, come back from this break. I'm going to get into some of the stories on American Liberty Radio Network on Facebook. And, well, we'll just go from there. So, go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com. That's the website. Email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. I want to hear from you. And I'll be back after this. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com and email us at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com.
this is Frank Hannon. I want to tell you about an exciting brand new rock and roll album coming out this year by guitarist Greg Golden. Greg Golden's new album is some old school sounding rock and roll music that's sure to be a classic, featuring some killer songs, blazing guitar solos, and awesome lead vocals by Jeff Sandoval and Randy Scholes from Montrose.
Far away, so far away, for peace inside a four-winds play.
Take a listen to some of these songs on this album.
Old school rock and roll, got the music in my soul. Old school rock and roll, everybody gonna lose control. Maybe crazy, but I ain't no fool. I live my life by the golden rule from the old school. Yeah, of rock and roll. Woo! Won't see it coming, but it's coming fast. That girl just does what she please, like a bad winner, baby. Cool on in and take you down. A bad winner, baby. No safe haven where she's found. Turn on the radio. Just time to make the show. Get on your dancing shoes. They're getting rave reviews. No other place to go. We're going back to Reno. Burning hearts, tears, and flames in the rain. Burning hearts, tears, and flames in the rain.
Be sure to check out the new Greg Golden album coming out on Red Hawk Records this year. www.greggoldenband.com.
Hey folks, how you doing? Welcome back. Short segment here. I just want to get into some of the stories. I'm going to get into one here right now. So don't have a whole lot of time. Ashley Jones didn't write, but found a YouTube video that said revealed government mind control far worse than Jade Helm and eugenics combined. From fun camps to fun vaccines, the government has you covered. It's a YouTube video. But I want to get into this one because this is like a travesty in history. This is just something that really, people need to be aware of, because what do we know about our military? What do we know about what they've done? Okay? And I would even go as far as saying in a criminal way. Governmentslaves.info, GOVT slaves.info. U.S. military admits it carried out secret race-based experiments to test impact of mustard gas on U.S. soldiers. The Iron Sheik over there wrote this one. New York, the U.S. Department of Defense has for the first time admitted that it carried out race-based tests on American troops as part of its research about mustard gas. Up to 60,000 men were enlisted for a program declassified in 1993 to test mustard gas and other chemicals agents on U.S. troops. That's the way they wrote it, folks. But National Public Radio reported that the Pentagon has for the first time admitted that it grouped its test subjects by race, as it believed African American and Puerto Rican U.S. troops might respond to the poisonous gas different than white soldiers. Rollins Edwards, aged 93, was among those covertly made use. Let me read that again. These obviously somebody doesn't know their grammar. Roland Edwards, now 93, was among those covertly made use during World War II test. He said that he and a dozen others were led into a wooden chamber and a door locked as a mixture of mustard gas and similar agents called lewisite was piped inside. Quote, they said we were being tested to see what effect these gases would have on black skins, unquote. Mr. Edwards told the broadcaster, quote, it felt like you were on fire, unquote. Mr. Edwards' grandson said his grandfather has suffered all of his life from serious skin problems and that burns and scars are still on his body. Quote, he wants the story to get out. Harvey Denton, 28, told The Independent, quote, it looks like burns on his arms even though it happened 75 years ago, unquote. Army Colonel Steve Warren, Director of Press Operations at the Pentagon, confirmed the broadcaster's findings. He sought to draw a distinction between events carried out 75 years ago and the military of today. Live samples of deadly anthrax were mistakenly sent to laboratories in 9 U.S. states and military based in South Korea, the Pentagon has admitted, quote, the first thing to be very clear about is that the Department of Defense does not conduct chemical weapons testing any longer, unquote, he said. The one secret race experiments reportedly first uncovered by a Canadian researcher, Susan Smith, was published in an article in the Journal of Law, Medicine, and Ethics. I don't know about you folks, but I believe that's criminal. I don't give a crap what color your skin is. If you committed to that experiment based on race, you are a racist, and that is criminal, specifically in the United States military. Look at the USMC, or not, well, the United States Marine Corps first. What is that? The United States Military Justice, I think it is. I don't remember. I haven't been in the military for over 30 years. So look it up. Don't fight it and say, well, these people that were back then that were involved in this need, compensation. No. What you need to do is you need to find it, identify the problem, look at the criminal elements behind these experiments, and fire off a lawsuit against the United States government. That's what you need to do. And don't believe anybody that says these programs are gone. They're still active. Maybe not as, destructive or deadly, but covert experiments are still being done to our military. Okay? So, something to think about, even in your own countries. I know this show is listened to in Australia. Even in there, they've had tests similar to this. Okay? So you people out there in Aussie, in Australia, need to do something about it. That's just the way it is. You want these people to die with dignity or suffer for the rest of their lives. I'm going to go to break. Not going to be long. Got a short segment coming up. I'm going to get into another story. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please email me. Even if you disagree with me, the burden of proof is on you. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. You can also go to the website at AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Check that out as well. I've got audio blogs up there. I've got the show if you're listening to it on that site. Thank you. So I'll be back after this. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. What we see is not always the truth. Lies, deceit, cover-ups. This is the world we live in. This is not reality. This is Distorted Reality. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. Go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com and email us at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. When the coffee is done, sit down and have a cup and listen to the best independent music station on the web. Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Tom Slick delivers all the independent hits and talks about new music from all of your favorite artists. Listen to Tom Slick on The Morning Brew, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern, only on Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. For more information, go to radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com. The reality underneath the honesty. Listen to Brian Lang over at Live Truth Radio. Go to livetruthradio.com for more information. Hey folks, how you doing? This is Wayne S. Pierce right here for the Wayne S. Pierce Show on the 23rd of June, 2015, excuse me, I'm a year behind. No, I'm just kidding. I'm thinking about the 14th, actually thinking about a lot of stuff right now, which, can be confusing, I was looking at the number 14 earlier is why. It's 2015. It is what it is. It's June 23rd. And when you think about it, folks, think about this for a minute. Here you are. You wake up every morning. You get ready for work. You go about your day. You come home. And for some odd reason, you start thinking about stuff that, you could have forgotten during the day. Did you forget something at work? Did you get that file in the right place? Did you address that situation correctly? I mean, all these things go through your mind. You clock out from work, you hop in your car, and you take off. You come home, you kiss your wife, you pet your dog, you hug your kids. Then you do it all over again the next day. But let me ask you a question. When does it become so burdensome that you'd rather be doing something you love to do and getting paid for it than doing something you have to do and put up with somebody else's bullcrap? This is something that I've thought about for years. Because, honestly, I'm not one to conform to anything. Oh, I've had my shares of day jobs. I've had my share of day jobs and bosses that are pissy and situations that I just didn't feel comfortable with. And I've literally quit jobs because of management. My coworkers were fantastic. But management sucked. So my question to you is not only, would you rather be doing something you love to do, but my other question is this. Have you ever thought about walking into your boss? I'm pretty sure you have. But telling him this. Either you give me the position that I know that I'm qualified for and have the experience to do, or I'm going to make sure that people know about this business. Now, have you ever thought about doing that? Because here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. You go to work you leave that job, you clock out, boom, clocked out, you're going home. You don't have to worry about the work until either the next day or the following week or whatever. But your boss and the policies of that business are saying no matter where you're at or whether or not you're clocked out, you represent that company? No, I don't think so. And right-to-work policies in these states, 24 of them now in the United States, almost half of the U.S., say just that. At-will employment policies are there because if somebody doesn't like you, they're going to fire you for no reason whatsoever. Yeah, they may hate the way you dress. They might hate the way you work. They're not going to tell you because, under that policy, they don't have to. But think about this. That company is only one paycheck away from going out of business. And that dictator that you call a boss and his minion you call your supervisor are playing right into the hands of the New World Order. And you are nothing but a number in a payroll book. And let's face it, you're nothing but a slave. Okay? So think about that. Well, unions have to come in and do, no, unions are the worst of the worst of the worst nowadays, in the last 20, 30 years, even more, because unions don't do a damn thing. You know what unions do? Go back to the early 30s and 40s. In New York and Chicago and Miami, Florida, and all these places, New York City, Manhattan, all the boroughs there. We had this thing called organized crime. And what it was basically one of their aspects was going into a store in a neighborhood and having some guy tell the owner of that store, I can keep all the riffraff away. I can keep troubles from hitting this store. You just got to pay me a little bit every week. Run that up 80 years. So let's say from 1935 to 2015. 80 years later, you've got unions going, we can help you with your job. You just have to pay us a little bit. So unions have outlived their usefulness and serve no purpose except for being deep pockets that you put money into, that the corrupt politicians put their hand into to take out their contributions. Okay? Just saying. I'm just putting it out there. Got one last break coming up. But I want you to understand that I understand what's going on behind the curtain. I know who's pushing the buttons and pulling the handles. I have seen these things firsthand. So I'm not talking out of school here, and it's not a conspiracy theory. I know exactly what's going on. I don't know everything, and I'll tell you, I'll be the first in line to admit I don't know everything, but I know enough to know I can put two and two together, and it'll add up to 4, and these people behind the curtain know it. So, take that, figure it out. Look into it yourself. I'm going to take a little break. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. AmericanLibertyRadio.com.
A grand adventure.
Yeah.
From the directorial debut of Brian James Griffo, two brothers faced with a rare genetic disease that causes blindness decide to take a journey of a lifetime and answer the question, what would you see if you knew you were going to go blind?
It honestly makes me feel so small and like whatever problems I have are nothing.
What would you do?
You're supposed to smell it first.
Who would you meet?
This is an opportunity for us to connect with people.
In a groundbreaking documentary that cuts to the heart of what it means to be a brother
It blows my mind that 100 years ago, this is how people would have done this trip that we're doing. Yep.
And gain a world of vision while losing eyesight. Come along to be inspired and reminded of the very meaning of life through a 12,000-mile road trip. Driving Blind. Coming soon.
Coming to America.
Hey, folks, last segment of the show. This is the American Liberty Radio Network, American Liberty Radio on Facebook, AmericanLibertyRadio.com. You can email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, or even if you disagree with me, the burden of proof is on you. How you doing? Let's get into the last few stories here on American Liberty Radio on Facebook. I didn't get to everything. A lot of it's YouTube videos. But let's go here. This is very, very important. I spoke about it just a little while ago. Breitbart is reporting Obama trade enmeshed in corrupt backroom dealings. The American people do not trust President Obama. Duh. And they do not trust Republican leadership in Congress. Double duh. And the reason is simple. For far too long, politicians in Washington, D.C. have not told the truth. Both President Obama and Republican leadership are stressing Trade Promotion Authority, also known as TPA, or Fast Track. Representative Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, and Senator Harry Reid, Democrat of Nevada, both oppose it. As a general matter, this is Senator Ted Cruz is wrote this, contributed it to, Breitbart.com. He says, as a general matter, as Ted Cruz says, I agree, as did Ronald Reagan, that free trade is good for America. When we open up foreign markets, it helps American farmers, ranchers, and manufacturers. But the TPA in this Congress has become enmeshed in corrupt Washington backroom deal-making, along with serious concerns that it would open up the potential for sweeping changes in our laws that trade agreements typically do not include. Since the Senate first voted on TPA, there has been two material changes. First, WikiLeaks subsequently revealed new troubling information regarding the Trade in Services Agreement, or TISA, one of the trade deals being negotiated by Obama. Despite the administration's public assurances that it is not negotiating on immigration, several chapters of the TISA draft posted online explicitly contained potential changes in federal immigration law. TPA would cover TISA, and therefore these changes would presumably be subject to fast track. When the TPA last came up for vote, both Senator Jeff Sessions, a Republican from Alabama, and I, Ted Cruz is writing this, introduced amendments that would have barred fast-track treatment for any trade agreement that attempted to impact immigration law. Two other Republican senators objected, and we were both denied votes on our amendments. Instead, the House inserted substantially weaker language in related legislation. At the time that Sessions and Ted Cruz introduced our amendments, many said our fears were unfounded, but now we have far more reason to be concerned. Second, TPA's progress through the House and Senate appears to have been made possible by secret deals between Republican leadership and the Democrats. When TPA first came up for vote in the Senate, it was blocked by a group of senators led by Senator Maria Cantwell, Democrat of Washington, and Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican of South Carolina, both of whom were conditioning their support on the unrelated objective of reauthorizing the Export-Import Bank. The EXIM Bank is a classic example of corporate welfare. It is cronyism at its worst, with the U.S. taxpayers guaranteeing billions of dollars in loans for sketchy buyers in foreign nations. The EXIM Bank is scheduled to wind down on June 30th, but powerful lobbyists in Washington want to keep the money flowing. After witnessing several senators huddle on the floor the day of the TPA vote, Ted Cruz said, I expected that to get their votes on TPA, Republican leadership had promised supporters of the EXIM Bank, the Export-Import Bank, a vote to reauthorize the bank before it winds down. At lunch that day, I asked Majority Leader, Ted Cruz said this, I asked Majority Leader Senator Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, what precise deal had been cut to pass a TPA. Visibly irritated, he told me that all my Republican colleagues that there was no deal whatsoever. Rather, he simply told them they could use the ordinary rules to offer whatever amendments they wanted to on future legislation. Taking McConnell at his word, Senator Ted Cruz says, taking McConnell at his word that there was no deal on the Export-Import Bank, I voted yes on the TPA because I believe the U.S. generally benefits from free trade, and without TPA historically there have been no free trade agreements. But then the vote went to the House. Representative Nancy Pelosi, Democrat of California, to the surprise of many, led the House Democrats to oppose TPA en masse. Technically, they voted against TAA, which was wrapped up into the deal on TPA. At that point, a group of House conservatives went to Speaker Boehner and said they could support the TPA if Boehner agreed not to cut a deal with Democrats on the Export-Import Bank and just let the bank expire. Boehner declined. Instead, it appears he made the deal with Democrats, presumably tossing in the EXIM Bank and also increasing tax penalties on businesses. Moreover, the Speaker punished conservatives, wrongly stripping Representative Mark Meadows, Republican in North Carolina, of his subcommittee chairmanship and reportedly threatened to strip other conservatives of their chairmanships as well. Why does Republican leadership always give in to the Democrats? Why does leadership always disregard the promises made to the conservative grassroots? Enough is enough. Senator Ted Cruz said this, I cannot vote for TPA unless McConnell and Boehner both commit publicly to allow the EXIM Bank to expire and stay expired. And Congress must also pass the Cruz-Sessions Amendment to TPA to ensure that no trade agreement can try to backdoor changes to our immigration laws. Otherwise, I have no choice but to vote no. There's too much corporate welfare, too much cronyism and corrupt deal-making by the Washington cartel. Far too long, career politicians in both parties have supported government of the lobbyists, by the lobbyists, and for the lobbyists, at the expense of the taxpayers. It's time for the truth, and a time to honor our commitments to the voters. That's what Senator Ted Cruz said in an op-ed piece. I think it's an op-ed piece under Big Government on Breitbart.com. You might want to check that out. Do your own research on that and figure that out. But let me be very precise here. It is both parties that are corrupt. Now, Senator Ted Cruz and anybody else for that matter can say all these wonderful words and direct in general statements the view that the American people need to hear. Did you hear me on that one? They're going to say things, no matter what party you belong to, they're going to say things they think we want to hear. When all we want to do is fire all 535 of those congressmen and women and start all over again. And get rid of the lobbyists, get rid of the special interest groups, get rid of the backdoor deals, and, oh, for goodness sakes, get rid of the corporate contributions to political parties. It's going to be a country of, by, and for the people, not of, by, and for the lobbyists and special interest groups. I mentioned that to somebody years ago, and they said, well, how is this country going to run? I said, by we the people. You know what he told me? Well, good luck with that. We can take back this country, folks. We can lay down our lives as our ancestors did in 1775, 1776, to pull this country out of the fires of hell, if you will, and create a better country with a better government, decentralized, to allow the states to do what they need to do. Hell, let's turn that 10 square mile piece of land called Washington, D.C. into a massive park. Because centralized government does not work. Fascism does not work. Socialism does not work. Marxism, communism does not work. Never has, never will. People are going to look at me and say, well, what about China? What about Russia? Yeah, go talk to the people there. Ask them how they like it. I can tell you this much, just by looking at the faces of the people in North Korea and in China and in Russia, looking at the citizens, I can tell that they wish they were over here. So many things are going on, folks. I don't know what to tell you. All I can hope to do is encourage you to go out and look this stuff up yourself and examine how these things are affecting you. Look at these things, folks. I mean, just examine what is happening in our world today, specifically in the United States of America. Okay? How is all this playing out in regards to your own personal life? Well, I don't care to look at that because I don't want it ruining my day. If you don't know what your so-called leaders and your politicians in your area are doing, you are in some serious trouble. Because for me, I'd like to know what they're doing so that I can tell them, hey, we didn't vote for that. But let me go back to what I've said before. Our votes don't count, folks. None of them. We can change things locally. I know we can. And it's been seen by millions of other people that we can locally. But how is that going to affect the national environment, the national, issues? As far as I'm concerned, it's going to affect them in ways that we could probably never imagine. Because if every single individual in a state, in a city, in a county, steps up and says, you know what, I've had enough of this corrupt cronyism in this government. We need to do something. And you start taking down certain laws and certain regulations, and you go en masse to the city council or the county board of supervisors open to public comment, and you push and push and push and push, and you make them do what you want, chances are it's going to be seen by the rest of the country, and other people are going to get inspired to do it too. There was one, I forget where it was. People got so pissed off in the city council meeting that the audience stood up and rushed the panel and caused several of the city council members to just get up and walk out. You know, and that's the way it should be. We need to get up in those chambers, in those city council and county board of supervisors meetings, and we need to forcefully put our finger in the chest of these minions and say, enough's enough. You're going to do things our way, period. Now, you probably might think that that is a reflection of what happened in the Bolshevik Revolution, but think about this for a minute. Excuse me. It made changes, but not for the positive. But it made changes that affected the rest of the world. Okay? So, that might be something you want to think about on a local level. Okay? If you think changes have to be made, you have to make a change on the inside to want the changes to be made on the outside. You have to make the changes. If others are with you, fine. If they're not and against you, walk away from them. Don't waste your time with them. Okay? Coming down to the end of the show, I want to remind you that you can always email me at AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com, AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. You can go to AmericanLibertyRadio.com for more information or to listen to the podcast or the live show, which is tomorrow, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, on American Liberty Radio Network at AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Go to radio shows and schedules, and if you see a red live indicator on one of the players there, then I'm live. Push the button and check out what I have to say. Chances are, folks, you're going to come into a situation to where you're going to have to, well, make a sacrifice. If your boss treats you like crap, then you have to make a sacrifice. If your company's policies inhibit you and prohibit you from expressing your protected rights, that company has a problem. And you need to fix it. I don't know. People are going to say and do whatever they want to say and do. And you know what? I encourage them to do that. Find ways to make life better and easier for yourself. That's all I'm saying. If you look at this political arena in the United States of America and you see some flaws, well, let's just say you can point them out. You can make things happen. Okay? So, I'm going to get out of here. Please email me. I'd like to hear from you. AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. AmericanLibertyRadio@USA.com. And if you want to help out the network, please ask me how, and we'll work something out. If you want to sponsor these podcasts, you can. If you want to sponsor these podcasts, you can. It's very simple, very easy. We can work something out. Anyway, I'm going to take off, folks. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the American Liberty Radio live broadcast tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern, right here on the American Liberty Radio Network at AmericanLibertyRadio.com. Liberty is the road, and freedom is the goal.